It's Kambada, the shaman, the god, the crack baby. And right now you're tuned in to Kofi's Universe, the #1 and most truest source for hip hop news, reaction videos, sports, black culture, and much, much more. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button now. Bada.
YouTube, salute! King Kofi is back, man, once again. I have a special guest. I told y'all I was going to bring a special person to the platform, somebody I grew up in high school admiring. Oh, my God. He used to kill it and still can kill it. But in my generation, on the wake-up show,
yes, sir.
Yo, you have to be a beast to come on there and spit off the top of the dome. His first album in 1996, Soul on Ice, coming from this book right here, something I've read before. He's did so many things to help the West Coast catapult to the next level.
Thank you.
When you talking about real lyricism, you talking about somebody that can actually break a song down to the lowest common denominator, you have to look at top tier MCs, people that you consider to be in the Hall of Fame, that I consider to be in the Hall of Fame, people that you consider to be in the Hall of Fame, people that on my channel have requested saying, please react to Ras Kass, please react to Ras Kass. Yo, he's one of the best of all time, and he is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and enemies, like Malcolm X would say, Ras Kass, thank you for coming on the channel, brother.
Salute, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Before I ask anything, how are you doing in 2020? I know we have a lot of turmoil, a lot of roadblocks, but how are you doing?
Personally blessed, man. I'm COVID free. I still stay proactive. So, nobody could travel, so that sucked. No touring, and basically the shows, there was no really shows. But there's two parts to the creative, being a musician anyway, and that's the creative part in the studio, and then there's the performance part. I had to wrap my head around the fact that it wouldn't be a lot of performance, and then just went back in the creative mode. So we've been getting it in, man. Been releasing music and all kind of content, and just kind of enjoying making the best out of whatever this situation is what I've done. So I'm not stressed. Can't wait to reach the people physically, but these are great platforms. So thanks for having me, Kofi, and just being able to chop it up with you and the people.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. It's a pleasure and it's an honor and a privilege to talk to you and to get a chance to know you besides what we just hear on the microphone from an album and a freestyle, but just to hear from you. And like I said, from the subscribers on my channel, they'll be very honored, just like, oh my God, Ras Kass, because a lot of people look up to you, man. The things you've said, you have educated us. And there's certain books I've written to go research and go copy because of you. So I want to say thank you before we even start the interview.
Appreciate you. Sincerely.
You. Oh, anytime. The first question, something simple. How was it growing up in LA, man, Los Angeles, California?
The worst. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, man, I feel like, you got boys in the hood and those stories are true. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying those stories aren't true, but there is a camaraderie. I always say that to my homies now. Like, my grandmother passed 10 years ago, and she grew up. I was raised in Watts, and I went to school in Watts, and like, I go by and the neighborhood's not the same, but I remember, where the gang members say yes, ma'am. And it's still active in gang banging, but when the adults, when the little girl ran across the street, they made sure she didn't get hit by the car. Like, there was still family, a unit in it. And with that, it was active. Niggas was gangbanging and people was going to jail and selling dope and dying. So for me, I enjoyed my childhood. I grew up I lived in Carson my whole life, but I went to school because my parents had to work. So they had, my grandmother kept us, so we went to school near my grandmother. She lived in Watts. And Watts is technically, you can ask J-Rock and, other artists, and Cam, like, technically in the debate, Watts is the worst. Like, everybody tries to be the worst, we the hardest or whatever, but Watts was considered the worst part of LA. And, I grew up there and, my friends did what they did and I did what I did. But it was fine, man. I knew where not to go. You start figuring out where you grew up, like, oh, we're this color. Even if you don't bang, there's an association. So that Kendrick skit on Good Kid, Mad City, I love that skit because I lived that. That's lived, like, it didn't even feel like a skit. Like, it, my hair stood up because I was like, like, where you from? Like, I don't bang. It's like, no, where your mama from? Where your grandmama? You live somewhere. You from somewhere. You associated. So that part, man, yeah, it was tedious, man. And it was active, like 88, 90, like in the 80s, like it was an all-time high. Like gangbanging was, like you got beat up. Like, people like sports teams, that for us, those teams mean different neighborhoods.
Yes.
If you ever see Nipsey and them, they wear the New York hat. It's not because they love New York. It's neighbors.
You know what it represents.
Right. So, everybody, like, so you couldn't even necessarily wear Celtics or whatever. Like, you wear a D hat, it might mean something. You wear a Browns jersey, and you get out of bounds, and motherfuckers was on, people was on your head about it. So that was always it was like it's kind of like, and I'll leave it at this. It was like the funnest field of landmines ever. That's what LA was like to me. It was like, but watch out, you don't step on that, it'll blow up. But yeah, the rest of it was fun, man.
No, you are right. I mean, being born and raised and a native in Los Angeles, California, I know about that. I know about catching the RTD, Rough, Tough, and Diddy, taking the 115, coming from St. Bernard's, wearing a certain uniform, getting off on Market in Manchester, running to the Inglewood families. Yo, where you from? Yo, I go to St. Bernard's. No, where you live at? Like, I know about that being an approach. And one of my friends, he used to work for Rockefeller Records. His name was George. And he from the Bronx. He was from Harlem, wearing a hat, the NY hat. So he's lived in Inglewood, and I was coming to pick him up one day, and I guess like the families was like sweating him, but at the time I was like, no, brother, he from New York. Like, oh, okay, we just making sure. And so he was like, why they tripping on me? I'm like, bro, they're not tripping on you. It's because the gang culture out here is real. It's different from the East Coast, and like I said, it's no disrespect. It's just it's a different type of vibe out here.
Right? Yeah, man. Yeah, we had to be very cautious, but I loved it, man. I used to catch I think it was called the 446, but I was going by 8th grade. I was going to school in Carson, but I got kicked out, so I was living with my grandma. So I'm back in Watts, so I had to catch the RTD. And it was 446 down Avalon, and it just, man, it'd be, Treetop. Then it started out. I'm like, man, you just be on the bus like, man, let me just sit, because they get on and then they getting off, and you be going through so many hoods. And I'm just trying to get to Century and Avalon so I get to where my homie, what I'm saying, where I know everybody at. And yeah, man, that was part of growing up in LA.
Yeah, so you know about that. So I'm glad you actually telling everybody and even telling me, because it's always good to hear from somebody's perspective. So a thing I want to ask you, I've never heard you talk about this on an interview. If you did, it probably went over my head. But what made you start rapping?
Okay, so I lived on 99th and McKinley.
Okay.
My grandmother lived, and I grew up there. And so the older dudes that I kind of looked up to, some a year older, but most of them like me, I'm about 13 or something like that. They're like 16, 17, 18. And a lot of them didn't even bang. Some did. Some was from 9-7. Some were gang banging.
Okay.
But a lot of the cooler dudes that didn't bang decided to make a little clique. So they were going to be the 99 East Side Hustlers. Not no gang, nothing gang affiliated, just wanted to make a crew. That got shut down very quickly by the gangs. It's like, you're not going to be, there ain't no crews over here. You're going to be in this, see from this set or not. But long story short, I decided I was going to make our theme song. I was going to make this rap. So the first rap I ever wrote was for the 99 East Side Hustlers. I wrote the rap, and it was completely whack, and everybody shut me down like, Baby John, that's trash. Like, you're not good. So that was the end of my rap career. And then, and then later, about 2 or 3 years later, I had a friend, when did I meet Bird? 8th grade is when I met Bird. I had a turntable, I had a Technique 1200. He had a mixer with a sampler on it, like a little 8-second sampler. And randomly, he was trying to DJ. I couldn't DJ. I thought I'd host or whatever, but we would make these tapes and battle each other. So like everything, we ended up putting everything in my garage and going and just getting records wherever we could get them from, like our grandmother's houses, uncles, just whatever, just grabbing up records. And we would battle each other and make these disc tapes. So 1 hour in the garage, and you come out on one side of the tape, make yours, you can't listen. Then the other person go make theirs, and then we play them and battle each other. So we had made one of those. And I don't know why, Bird's sister, her name is Bird, he produced a lot of stuff on the first album. So Bird, his older sister was dating this cool dude that had been on K-Day. He was a DJ, he was a man. His name was DJ Battle Cat.
Yes.
So, yeah, man. So he gave our tape to Battle Cat. I don't know why, because we were trash, for the most part. And what's crazy is Battle Cat listened to it. And he came back later and was like, he pointed to Bird, he's like, you got an ear for samples. Like, you pick good samples. He's like, and we didn't write these. We would just diss each other and kind of freestyle, whatever. And he's like, you can rap. You dope. And from there, he would take us to Arlington, over in to the studio, and he developed us and just started producing for me and really seeded and gave me my first opportunities, hooked me up with Box. Box ended up getting a deal on a record label called Wild West Records, put me on my first vinyl, and it goes from there. So really, man, between Battle Cat starting off my foundation, and then Wino, who ended up producing all of Coolio's music when Coolio came out years later. Those two people just saw something in me I didn't even see in myself. And my friends had said I was whack. So I definitely was not planning on rapping.
Okay, well, shout out to Battle Cat. He's done so much for the West Coast and so many.
Oh yeah, man.
Here. So I want to definitely salute him, and to Wino.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Coolio too, because I met Coolio. I seen him before, but last time I saw him was 5.5 years ago in Vegas. He was at the crap table at the MGM.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. With his, holding on to them little things. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, he they definitely, even when I got out of jail, man, and Coolio was popping, he didn't know me. It was Wino support me, and when I got out, they took this is after the first album was probably like already out, like County Line and all that. It was popping. Took me on tour with them, just believed in me. So I really appreciate those brothers. Big homies, man, big brothers.
Salute, and that's good to have the big brother love like that. I love seeing that, especially one hand wash the other. Now, asking another question: who influenced you, in hip hop when you was growing up? Like, who was somebody who was like, what, I love that sound. That person, he got the lyrics. Who was some of the people that you was?
Everybody, man. That question for me is always like I'd be wrong overly picking one person in general, because back then it wasn't like today it's flooded with everybody. This already coming out and everybody raps and everybody got a label and everybody. But back then you kind of knew, Tommy Boy had 90 by Nature and blah blah blah, and Def Jam had who you know what I'm saying? Like you kind of knew what was coming out. So I was a big fan of everybody before me. Everybody that came out before me, like because it was quality control. Like you basically couldn't be whack. Like what came out was kind of the cream of the crop. So from X Clan to NWA to Tupac to Biggie to Nas to Rakim to Big Daddy Kane to Slick Rick to Houdini, EPMD, like everything was dope. So I was soaking it up. Tribe Called Quest, I'm a sponge. I was just like, this is dope. And I loved the variety. So, Scarface was going to give me some street, but reflective. You know what I'm saying? Q was going to give me the ill stories. Once upon a time in the projects, damn near had the record hole. You know what I'm saying? It was so many dope people that it was just like going to a buffet and I could just grab whatever, Tribe Called Quest gave me the jazz. Like, it was all these, some people was killing the James Brown samples. Then some people was experimenting with the reggae stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so much dopeness, man. Everything influenced me. I will say, who kind of broke my computer for a minute was KRS-One. I had never really heard nobody do history like that. And so my favorite rapper is KRS-One. Yeah.
Shout out to the God MC KRS-One, man. That he's a scholar, educator, philosopher right there. You can always learn something new from him, and he's still killing it to this day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Still gunning, man. Like I've seen him just destroy shows. Like you don't want to perform after. It's certain people you don't want to perform after, like Busta Rhymes, KRS-One. Like they're gonna kill it, man. He just kills it.
I consider to be a scholar. I mean, because you're not just an MC on a microphone. I consider to be in the scholar category because of some of the topics you talk about. But who are some of your favorite scholars or heroes that you read about or you grew up on that's maybe got some of your information that you can put into
definitely, man. First of all, one of the best resources, I always tell people this, is encyclopedia, man. Britannica, Judaica, Africanus, they have different ones. But encyclopedia is a coalition of a lot of scholars putting all that information in there.
Yes.
But Frances Cress Welsing wrote the ISIS papers, which really inspired Nature of the Threat. She's still alive. I'm really realizing how ill James Baldwin was watching his debates. Like brilliant man, and there's a lot of what's my name? He teaches, I think, at Harvard. With the big beard and the hair.
Cornel West?
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, Cornel West is the man. I love, because he always speaks like lovingly.
Yeah.
But he still be dropping the bars. Like I always, when I say it, it like comes out sounding kind of mean. Mm-hmm. So I like the way his approach to saying, speaking facts. Cornel West is amazing. There's so many other people that I know I'm overlooking right now that I've read their books. But those are a few.
Okay. And rest in or rise in power to the ancestor, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. When I first read the ISIS papers, it changed my life, my whole perspective, even my African worldview, how I see things out here. So she was very pivotal for me moving forward in my life. So thank you her so much. I just want to say shout out. So he just mentioned that about the nature of the threat. You never heard that song? Please. Oh my God, that song right there is going to educate you. It's going to educate you. I'm not even want to spoil it, but right there, me listening to high school, I was like, yo, hold on, what did I just listen to? But it's so deep because that's when you can tell when hip hop can go to another level, when a person like you can step out the realm. Now, when we talk about Ras Kass, who is Ras Kass away from the microphone?
Honestly, I really, so my writing is more, it's not a persona, really. Except in the sense of that's my attitude, my belief system, and pretty much my personality. Ras Kass is probably a more perfected version of who I'd want to be. But I mean, you know, most people usually tell me like, you know, the dude I meet is the dude in the records. Because a lot, and even a lot of my rhymes are things that I've said under some situation, and then I'm like, either it's brought to my attention. A lot of times it's brought to my attention, like I'll say something like, "You're stupid," and I'm like, "Oh, I should probably write that down." That's because that's exactly how I feel, but I never expressed it that way. So then I'll write down something I feel under the circumstances, and that gives me my lyrics. So I kind of write from life. I'm pretty much, you know, it's a claim that a lot of artists, especially rappers, because they're these, you know, they're personas. I'm not really a persona. Ras Kass is me, you know, at the end of the day. Like in certain, you know, native cultures, some African, some, you know, even here, Native American, which have African heritage to them also, people named themselves or were named later on in life based on who they were. And that was my approach to naming myself Ras Kass. You know, it's really Ethiopian. He was a real person. Ras Kass was an Ethiopian king, and he fought with Menelik II over a certain part of Ethiopia. They ended up splitting it and amicably, you know, splitting the thing. But he was John IV, and I'm John IV. So there's, you know, my father, grandfather, and great grandfather were John Austin, and I'm John Austin. So I when I was trying to search for a name as an MC, like, you know, and no disrespect, like so many dope names like Ice Cube, and I was like, well, you know, I'm not Switchblade, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Stabby, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I was trying to figure out who I was gonna be, and honestly, my name could have been really horrible. So, but I was gonna go by. This is really younger, but like 14. I'm like, or 15ish or something. I'm like, you know, like, well, I'll eat a lot of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and then I'll eat a whole bunch of Apple Jacks, and I was like, I'll be MC Cereal. And so, yeah, for real. And my friends is just like, bro, like, I don't know who to be, and I randomly, on a really flukishly bred upon Ras Kass, and I still, you know, I need to get some encyclopedias or something, or go to a real library, because every time I try to look him up, there's not a lot of information online about Ras Kass. I know there's a artist, and I think he's of, you know, like Jamaican or Ethiopian descent, Ras Kass, which is same thing, would be, you know, same person. I definitely would just like to get more information on him, but I was John IV. I'm a king, you know. We're all kings, you know. And I wanted to name myself something that had some integrity, that wasn't, you know, Nike, MC Nike, or, you know, they say name yourself who you want to be. So, I mean, I should have named myself $1 billion nigga, but but I didn't think that far ahead.
Hey, no, but thank you even telling us. You know, I always wondered, like, what made him name himself Ras Kass, but you just answered something that I thought in my mind, so I appreciate that. You are considered to be one of the top lyricists in the game, you know, for real, and you know that. I mean, you've been, you know, the accolades has been coming out and the praises since you came out, and you've been in groups with the Golden State Warriors. You've been around the Forest Horsemen with Canibus, Killer Priest, and Kurupt. What made you connect with those type of dudes? Because those dudes, just like you, are up here. How did that come, you know, together?
The truth of the matter is I came in with, like, I've always been the type of person that I create my own cliques. I never joined cliques. I ended up, you know, gravitating or being really, really cool with one person from here and one person from there, and so we just kind of make our own little thing. And that's kind of how it's always been. Like, you know, me and Kurupt, you know, I'm a big fan of Kurupt, and a big Dog Pound fan, period. But, you know, lyrically, I'm like, yo, bars, Kurupt bars. And then we just hit it off. And same thing, you know, with Killer Priest, big Wu-Tang fan. You know, RZA's one of the first people that, from a business standpoint, he cleared the sample that I used on my demo when we pressed up vinyl. He did that, never, you know, didn't know me, never met me, but believed in my music when I had never met him, and they were on top of the world, platinum, and was like, he's dope. He can clear the sample. I sampled Method Man. My first demo was a song called Remain Anonymous, and I used Method Man. You don't know me and you don't know my style. And you had to clear it, and they were platinum, and they like, nobody could clear a Wu-Tang sample, and he cleared it for me. So, you know, out of those clicks, that was just some random, you know, Easter egg information. But yeah, man. So I've always just come across people, and if we alike and we get along, and obviously I'm a fan of what they do, sometimes we end up just deciding like, hey man, why don't we put our, you know, connect and work, we're working towards the same goals, and let's do this. And it's not even, it's never really thought out. I've never like tried to create a click with somebody. It's just people I naturally, you know, have an aptitude and got a respect for, first of all, the talent, but then you meet some people and you just, you know, for whatever reasons, they, you know, I've met some of my favorite rappers sometimes, and they weren't the person I thought, you know, that their music said they were, and that lets me down. You know, with those particular people you mentioned, in general, we met, we had, you know, we got along as human beings, and then we could create art.
Okay, yeah, man, because like I said, when I first heard you, not first heard you, but on a record with Exhibit, on his debut album, 1996, At the Speed of Light.
Plastic Surgery.
Yes, that I was like, yo, y'all all ripped it. And then to hear you, I heard you on the Rhyme and Reason soundtrack with Canibus and Helter Skelter, mate. Rest in peace to Sean Price.
Yes, sir.
I was like, yo, like everybody is just, you know, everybody's coming out of nowhere. So I was like, yo, this is going to be beautiful. Then to hear, you know, I love Killer Priest, love Kurupt, love Canibus. So just to hear all y'all together, the Four Horsemen, I was just like, man, see, this is right here. This is real hip hop. This is real hip hop.
Yeah, man. Especially back then, just to add on to what you were saying, Kofi, like Helter Skelter were my, you know, my label mates, and we had, you know, become homies, and you know, we were contractually put together for that particular record. We got paid for that soundtrack. Obviously, they had to run it by. Do you want to do a song with Helter Skelter? You want to do a song with Ras Kass? Like, yeah, that's my homies. They didn't know Canibus. So Canibus didn't have a deal yet. He was an unsigned artist, and my homie who I met in Atlanta, you know, he was out there at the time trying to do his music. And so that's just a testament to how dope and really real to the culture Sean Price and Rock Ness are. Like, they met my homie. He spit a couple of bars. You know, I was like, yo, you know, I kind of want him on the record, man. Like, I think it would be dope. You know, like he from New York. He back in New York. This is my homeboy. His name is Canibus. They, you know, they like, oh, we don't know him, but you know, but then they heard him spitting and got along with him, and that's how that record happened. Because they could have easily vetoed it, like, man, we don't know him, and you know, whatever. But you know, that's how real they were. Like, no, he dope. Let's put him on the song, Raz. Good idea. We like him too, man. We like this dude. So just real dudes, man. Just that's kind of missing in the culture of hip hop right now, where a lot of artists are very strategic, and they're all about their brand. So they only do songs with whoever's popular right now,
correct,
as opposed to who's dope. And you know, I always say, who you see on your way up, you see on your way down. So I've always, whether I was in like some major label with all these opportunities, I still respected the guy that's talented trying to grind, because I was there too. And you never know when, you know, the tables may turn. I never wanted to be the guy that, say I would have dissed whoever, I don't know, Kendrick Lamar, you know, when he was just trying to get on. Of course, then now you want a favor, dude, like, yeah, you remember how you treated me back when when I was just trying to, so I always try to make sure I treat everybody with respect and respect their talent, because at the end of the day, no matter how many records you sell or Bentleys you got, like, your talent has nothing to do with your cars and stuff. Your talent is God-given. Some people get opportunities and some people don't. And that's great. But I respect the talent part. I'm a fan of the talent. I'm not a fan of your Bentley or how many times they played your song on the radio. Good for you if that happens, but that doesn't make you any better or worse than you really were. You understand what I'm saying? They played Vanilla Ice all day, every day. That didn't mean I thought he could rap good. So.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, and I appreciate you even breaking that down to us. And I know at the time when you released your debut album, you came out when some albums were like, they're considered to be classics, but I consider your album to be a classic also. So nice when you had It Was Written, when you had Nocturnal, when you had Muddy Waters, when you had Ghostface Killer, Iron Man, you had Machiavelli, you had Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. Like, you had all these type of classic albums dropping, but you still came out and still cemented your name in the game. How does that feel?
It's a blessing, man, because 96 was a very good year. Like, what you would, from a strategic point of view, you want everything to be whack, so all the eyes are on you. But that was not a year for that. Outkast, everybody, man. I looked at 96 and forgot, like, woo-wee. Everybody was burning. It was a great year for hip hop. So, for me to, still get my, my respect and again, cement, my talent was just a big blessing, man. Very big blessing. And I'm very grateful to everybody that helped make that happen. And super special shout out to Diamond D, because that Solo Nice remix is,
yes,
it was the platform that really got the critics and the artists and the fans to say, oh wow, okay, that's special. So very, very grateful.
Yes. You have an album. You did a collaboration album with Apollo Brown, correct?
Who is this? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's my guy, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ill.
Apollo Brown is an ill producer, and
yes.
You have a song. Correct me with the title, "How to Kill God."
Yes, sir.
I love that. I love that because I know exactly what you're talking about. So I'm going to ask you. This is you being not just the MC, but as a scholar. What is the difference between spirituality and religion?
Well, religion is man-made tradition. It's just what people continually do that it eventually becomes a habit way of attempting to commune with a higher power. Mm-hmm. Although I would rather say that it becomes a way to govern and control people. Religion is man-made and it becomes organized, and then it's a tax write-off. They don't pay taxes, and then and you have to ascribe to an entire belief system. And if you question or disagree with any of it, then you're ostracized and kicked out. So Catholicism says you have to do this, or you go to hell. And then you had I forgot, Martin Luther, I believe, the Lutherans, and then you got the Baptists. I forgot his name, but these aren't, when we think of Baptists, we think Southern, like it happened in America. These are like Germans and Dutch people that are disagreeing. So then one person says, well, why don't you transcribe it out of Latin so that we can read it in Dutch? And that's why he starts the Baptists. You understand what I'm saying? So like everybody keeps taking their own interpretation and making it regimented to fit what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And that's what religion is, where spirituality is a direct line of communication, I believe, with your creator. Mm-hmm. I don't need a preacher. I used to ask my mother this too. I was like, So, according to, most of, Judeo-Christian religions, if I don't read the Old Testament or the Bible, which is the Old and the New Testament, which are transliterated, not translated, and all these other things, they've been tampered with, that means that God has deemed me that I go to hell. That sounds crazy for a God that's the God of everything, that I have to get a book. Because what if we get shipwrecked, my mother dies, I'm on an island, and I live on this island my whole life, never seen, nobody else is there. I go to hell because I didn't read the Bible and I never heard of Jesus. That just doesn't sound realistic for the God of everything.
Yes.
So, that's pretty petty. You didn't know that one name that they gave me, really? So I that's what I think of religion. That it's sculpted to govern people and to control them, as opposed to free them or give them any relationship with a higher power. That it tends to take their money and tell them to suffer, while the pastor or monk or whoever benefits, or the prince or the king. Most religions, the king or the prince, somehow is God's bodyguard, and you got to talk to him to get to the. Yeah, I'm not with that. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, thank you for breaking that down to us, because a lot of people on my channel has been asking about that. It actually, I would never put their names out. Some people actually emailed me and said, Kofi, can you give me some books so I can understand more about religion when it comes to African traditional religions or African
Right.
indigenous religions? And I said, of course. So I'm always trying to let people know, research, so they can be enlightened. I'm not going to disrespect somebody's faith, but my main thing is for you to read yourself and you make your own court of law,
right,
mental court of law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, are you a big Marvel fan? Just want to ask that before I ask you the next question.
Of course.
Okay.
Big comic book fan, period. Yeah.
Okay, so if you could compare yourself to any Marvel character, who will you be?
Man, that's a lot, man. I see a lot of myself. I see who I would like to be. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be a lot of people, man.
That's fine. I ain't tripping.
Peter Parker, because he was such a regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, he's kind of broke. He's still trying to, he's trying to do all this heavy lifting, but that was the whole thing. He was written to be like this dude that, everybody else, especially like, DC or not even DC, but like Tony Stark, they're like Batman. Everybody's rich. He's this rich white guy, and then he does super stuff. The everyman. I'm the everyman's man. So like Peter Parker was, Queens, just a little apartment, a little house with his aunt. He Daily Bugle. He works at 9 to 5. He's not really popping. He's running out of web fluid because he can't afford it. That. So I like that about Peter Parker. I actually call myself Peter Darker on Instagram.
Okay.
Obviously Wolverine, because just sheer
Logan.
Yeah, Logan, man. That movie was awesome.
Yes.
A lot of DC, a lot of Marvel characters I probably see myself in. Obviously the X-Men, just because they were a metaphor for the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Professor X was really Malcolm X, not Malcolm X, was MLK, and Magneto was Malcolm X.
Yes.
They're both trying to accomplish the same goal, but one is like eradicate them. And the other one guy's like, yo, we can live amongst them. So I see a lot of Magneto in my, I like the Magneto approach. I like the Malcolm X approach.
Mm-hmm.
And Silver Surfer, because he's wavy. I always just thought he looked ill, man. Silver Surfer is ill. He just looks ill. Yeah. So that's a few.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling us that. In the last year and a half, almost 2 years, we lost some pivotal, people in our community, in our, in the world. Nipsey Hussle, Kobe Bryant, especially the things he's not just done for the Los Angeles Lakers, but just for how he's impacted and touched people globally. And somebody that actually hurt me, and I still think about it, Chadwick Boseman. How do you
Oh
feel
yeah.
about those, these leaders as far as what they made their impact into the world? How do you think, from your perspective, taking that all in, we still think about Nipsey Hussle's Black entrepreneurship, the economic route, Kobe's Mamba mentality, but at the same time, trying to cultivate young women to the next level and actually still help the younger generation come into the NBA, and somebody like Chadwick Boseman to actually revolutionize, film in all different areas.
That's a good question, and I'm not even sure how to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Life ain't fair, and there's another saying: the good die young, and the morning is for the living. I don't know what comes after this. But I choose to believe in the causal, that there's a reason for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make you have to like it any more than I do. But Nipsey's death is tragic and whack as shit. Kobe's, same thing, and then Chadwick just shows the integrity. What a guy, just to suffer that, never tell nobody, and sparked me. I was like, that's the Black Panther. Like, he's gunning and inspired, and make people believe we can have a Wakanda, that we really can. Like, just what they did with that movie. Kudos to Marvel again for kudos to Spike Lee, man. I mean, Spike Lee, to Stan Lee. Stan Lee made Black Panther before the Black Panthers became the Black Panther.
Yes.
Not sure. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but maybe that's the universe or the creator telling us, it's time for us to step it up. That's the only way I've been looking at it, is just like, that sucked. Like, all of those sucked. They're not suffering anymore, but we here, like, we could have used that leadership and these amazing people, but maybe that's our call to look at that inspiration that specifically those three men, those brothers did, in their own rights, man. And what are you doing? Maybe that's for us to look in the mirror and say, hey, man, what more can I do? So it just sucks, but it's for a reason, and I'm gonna try to do my part, and I hope I can, do even more. I felt like I've always tried to do my part, but sometimes you gotta pick up where the homies left off. So I'm gonna work even harder to to affect the change, and just God bless those those brothers, man. Like, I was acquainted with Dempsey. Every time I came across Kobe, just since he first came out here, like his brother was signed to Priority. They had a group, the Wolfpack. But he's just pleasant, super nice, cool. I just and I never met Chadwick Boseman, man, but I don't know. I just feel like I met him. He just one of, just looking at his interviews, just the things I've heard about him personally, and then just knowing, like, to fight that cancer and not complain, and then deliver that kind of performances to inspire little Black kids, man. Every humans, but really, we don't have no heroes, and I'm just like, damn, this nigga was the hero. Like, that was with it, like, he played the shit out of it, and it was just ill, man. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I guess we should all look in the mirror and figure out how we can, do it, 5%. I mean, and I'm sure we are. Not everybody's gonna be recognized and become a multi-billion, $1 million franchise, but just do your part, man, and be great. Those are my heroes. Like honestly, Cody's my hero. Um, Chadwick Boseman, what he did was heroic. Like Nipsey, what he was doing was heroic. Like to come, like a lot of people get out the hood, and then what's whack is the undoing was being in the hood. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like I got a song called "Kill the Messenger," and that's exactly what they did. Like you killed the messenger. He here with the good word, building businesses in his community, and you don't even take out the trash. If you knew what dude was up on, and you knew dude was snitching, and don't handle no business, and then trash just killed the messenger again, man. And it's just whack. Sorry, little fucking gnat.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. No, but
yeah.
You're right about that. I mean, and those men, they did so much. I mean, to me, I always respect them because you never know what's going to happen to us, because we all got to make our transition. And that's why I try to maximize my potential, because I know when they was on this planet, it was maximizing their potential.
Yeah.
And I respect them for that, for not just sitting around taking up space and not appreciating what the universe gave you and sent you here.
Right. That's exactly it, man. Like, they could have sat around and I've seen people sit around and look at how many Bentleys I got. And, and I get our rap stuff. We got to be cocky and talk, but investing in land and property and ownership and showing and honestly, I look at LeBron been stepping it up, man.
Yes.
Building schools and like that, no disrespect to Oprah, but then maybe some, I can be, I can be critical. I have the right to an opinion, and I understand building schools in Africa, but build here. Like we need some help here. Like, they say there's a priority list. So I always tell people like, yeah, man, we got to save the whales. And, and Sarah McLachlan is crying about the dogs, but you leave a homeless black person, like they kill us and murder us. I don't see you doing the commercial singing about that. You care about dogs more than you care about people, or you care about whales more than you care about people, or you understand what I'm saying? Or you care about, blah, blah, some other country, people right here dying, starving, murdered, disenfranchised. So, we need to clean up our own home. And, Nip really, really led by example. So,
yes.
It's just really, it's whack to see. And I can't call it COINTELPRO. I just like, yo, bro, like just a hater. Just another hater, bro. Just take one hater.
Yes. No, you're right. And damn, like I said, it's like you reading my mind before I even asked another question or something I was thinking about. And I'm glad you just mentioned this. How do you feel, which I know you care about, the ownership, land ownership, generational wealth, when it comes to MCs, rappers coming into the game? If you're an OG, you're a veteran, if you was to actually sit down with some of them, what will you tell them as far as like, even if they went independent or they signed with a major label, will you educate them and say like, make sure you get you like some property, a little homeboy or a young man, so you can make sure you set yourself and your family.
Yeah, man. I've always told my friends when they get a bag, no matter how they get their bag, I'm like, look, bro, buy stuff, like not, gold and diamonds. But if you ain't getting a gold bar, then I get it. We need a little bit of stuff. We're MCs, and it's part of our equipment. I get that. But like, if that's your the bottles in the club, they're empty, and then it's just wasted money. Like, because a lot of people want the fun part before the hard. Don't do all this hard work to eat like 1,000-pound chocolate cake, bro. Like you worked out and now run the race, win the race. And, a lot of us, like my circumstances, I'm not where I want to be because I was, shucking and jiving. There was obstacles, corporate America that tried to I was Kaepernick before Kaepernick and fighting extricate myself from holes I didn't put myself in the first place. But for those people with those opportunities, I always advise people like, let's start building. I want to build a school. That's why I'm such a fan of LeBron. Like, bro, like when I was Ras Kass and I was Ras Kass, but I was young and stupid, and I was in CYA or juvenile hall, and I was writing my school out, and I still have that notebook of the kind of school and curriculum I would want to teach. And those are things that I still, hope to live, have the resources and be alive to do before I'm done, before I'm off the, out of this physical plane, and, I definitely, we have not had generational wealth intentionally. They did that to us. We inherit debt, and what's really sad is, seeing, the people that have the opportunity and it's gone. The NBA player or the football player or the boxer or the rapper. Like, bro, you were making that much money and you didn't take any of it and just buy you some square footage for you to build upon. And now you just out here toe back, like, and I'm sure you had an account that let you just do a whole bunch, while he was skimming off the side, and you had your homies, quote unquote, because as long as you had the hot car and you could pay for everybody to drink all the bottles, but then when you ain't got nothing, they not there no more. So I always advise, people to invest in yourself, take care, in yourself being food, clothing, shelter being primary, get some land, man. That is, I was young and didn't know certain things. I got a house, and then I was, getting about 24, 25, and I was making a certain amount of money. And I thought, I'm going to continue to make this amount of money, not knowing what was going to be around the corner. And, by 2000, it was all, whatever. I wasn't even 25. However old I was. But, 21, 22. I never went to college, and I was kind of preparing to like go to college, and I was going to go back to college, and I had never lived in a dorm, and I was kind of chasing that youth, and let that house go, and house back then was like 400,000, whatever, and Carson houses like 800, something like a meal ticket, you know what I mean? So I shot myself in the foot. That's what I always try to tell people off the top, like, don't do that, man. And then apartment living, like, you're paying $1,200, $1,500 every month. You don't get a burger, you don't get a thank you. When you don't pay, they get the next person in. Like, it's one of the, and this is something I blame our government. Like, they shouldn't allow to make those many apartments in a city. It should be a cap. Everything should be houses. Because they just build on top and treat you like I lived in New York, and for like 10 years and paying whatever, $1,700. I did the math after 10 years. Like, that's 10 years, $1,500. That's $150,000 a year times 10. What did I spend? I didn't even get a thank you when I left. It's still dirty, so we're gonna keep the deposit. So you get nothing from renting. Get some land, period. That's what I'm on, bro. I'm on some get the land. So I've been working towards that. Get it somewhere.
You already said, y'all, land ownership. Please think about that. Like I said, I'm a home owner now, me and my wife, and it feels so good to accumulate equity and to thinking about another property, not just here in the U.S., but also maybe Africa, maybe the Caribbean or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, bro.
Yeah, you definitely right about that. We only got like 2 more questions for you, man. I know you got things to do, but all I want to know is any upcoming projects or features we need to be on the lookout. Everybody, you can tell right now, because I know you dropped the Flow Nights 2 last year, which was banging. Love that.
Thank you.
Anything, yeah.
Thank you, man. Well, I'm glad you asked. It's funny you asked. So I just dropped a record, a song and a video last week. Shouts out DJ Premier's been supporting, and DJ Eclipse, Shade 45, and a lot of his DJs. So I dropped a song called 5 Mics. Like,
5 Mics? Okay.
Yeah, but Mikes, like Michael. So
Okay.
inspired by Biggie, like Jordan, Jackson, whatever. So that's part of something I'm calling a vinyl playlist. I have a vinyl playlist. It's 11 songs. 5 Mics is one of them. And I just got the test press it back today. So this is what it looks like. It's called I'm Not Clearing Shit. And this is, you know, so yeah, hey, you get the first, so yeah, the first look. So it's gonna be like this with the clear vinyl. There's actually these they do patterns. They do it'll do a pattern. It's a optical illusion. This one looks like a speaker when it spins, so it'll look like the bass pumping in and out. I forgot what the other one does, and then it comes with the like I like everybody doing the OB strips like for import. So it comes, there's an OB strip. These are called OB strips, front and back. But it's super dope, man. I'm super excited. We got pre-orders down at what is it? blackhouseIncs.storeenvy.com. So blackhouseInc.storeenvy.com. So we're pre-ordering these. We got a limited edition. But you know, a lot of people came in and helped me make this record dope, man. I got my man P.A. Dre, Us Kingpin, Terminology, Crisis, High Tech, Master Ace, Havoc produced the record.
Ooh.
Sid Wilson and Large Professor produced the record. Yeah, man. You know, it's a lot of people on here. Ice-T is on a joint.
Okay.
You know, whatever. So it's a really, really dope record, man. I'm really excited about this record, man. Once again, you know, definitely please support the movement, man. And it's not an album per se, it's a vinyl playlist is what we call it.
Okay, no problem. I'm gonna definitely, the information you gave us, will I will put that in the description.
Oh, word, dope.
Yeah, I gotta look out for you, man. You know, like I said, you're doing something for us. We want to make sure we take care and support you. Do you have a video out already for the single?
Yeah, for 5 Mics, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I do a reaction for that on my channel. So
that'd be dope.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it.
I hope you like it. It's a boom bap. It's ill. It's a good record.
Okay.
Premier's been playing it, so I think it's dope.
Okay, so when I do the reaction, I'll let people know, check out, you know, the vinyl, and I'll give them the link of that too. So I'm gonna take care of you with that. Don't even worry about that. So we're gonna definitely support and promote you over here. We got you, brother. We got you with that. Thank you. Thank you for telling us that. One of the last questions I gotta ask you. You already mentioned KRS-One, but who are your top 10 rappers, MCs of all time?
I can't do it. I can't, man, because I'm going to miss some people, man. Like, I can't. I'll have to go Dylan. KRS-One, Ras Kass.
Okay. We'll take that. We'll take that. You have answered everything I wanted to talk about. There's some things I was going to ask you, but you answered the other questions, so I appreciate that. But the last thing is just more, where can everyone follow you on social media so you can have more followers? And how can people support your music, even if they want to purchase the vinyl, CDs, tapes, or if they want to actually just stream digital, you know, music?
Okay, super easy. You can follow me on Instagram because it connects to everything else. That's at RAS_KASS. And I have a campsite. So it's campsite.bio/Ras Kass. And basically what campsite is you can click different things. It'll go to the store, the merch shop, it'll go to vinyl, it'll go to the YouTube, it goes everywhere. So yeah, campsite, campsite.bio/Ras Kass and Instagram at @Ras_Kass. And that's Razzie.
Okay, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, like I said, just thank Ras Kass for doing this interview. It's a blessing and a privilege. Like I said, we learned so much tonight, and we was educated about land ownership and his new album on vinyl. So we're going to definitely support
vinyl playlist.
We definitely support that over here. you know, and make sure I do the reaction so everybody can be happy with that, so they can see my reaction, but at the same time they can hear you. And anytime you want to come on this platform to promote any music, a single, for real, it's open. Anytime you have something new coming out.
I got one for us. It's called Chuck Berry. So maybe about 3 weeks to a month from now, maybe. I'd love to debut it.
Okay. Send it to me. You know, I'm going to take care of you because you blessed me, and I think everybody will be happy with that. So I'm just letting you know the invitation is always open over here for you because you came over here. So I have to reciprocate the love right back. You know, one hand wash the other. And I just want to say thank you again. Last but not least, before we even close it out, is there anything you want to say to all the subscribers around the world? And before I let you say something, we got people from the UK, South Africa, Spain, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, of course, the US, Canada, Mexico, Barbados, Dominican Republic, Thailand. Go ahead.
Man, I'm coming to visit. That's all I want to say. So if I ain't been there yet, I'm on my way. And if I've been there before, I'm coming back.
Okay, no problem. YouTube, King Kofi, Ras Kass. We'll see you next time again. He'll be back on again. Don't even worry about that.
King Kofi, salute, man. Thank you, brother.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.